Hello and welcome to the Temple of Enlightenment International Spiritual Center. My name is Issachar Bey, and I'm excited that you are joining us today. If this is your first time listening in, please let us know what city, what state, what country you are listening in. And also, if you can, go ahead and hit the like button. It helps us to raise our algorithms. And so if you haven't done so as well, go ahead and subscribe to our channel so that you can be notified of all new updates or anything that we're going to be releasing on our channel. The Enlightenment Center, the Temple of Enlightenment International Spiritual Center, was created to help you become a better version of yourself. It was created to help you to see that you don't have to live the life that you are living right now. You can change it at any given moment, at any given time. You can go ahead and restructure and rewrite your life story. And so we are continuing this week on our series that we've been working on. And I'm just excited about it because I believe that there's no greater time than the present. I believe that there's no accidents, there's no mistakes in life. And I want you to know that you are not a mistake. You know, regardless of whatever happened in your upbringing, your childhood, I want you to know that you are not a mistake. You were born on purpose. You were born for a reason. Your life is destiny. You have gifts, you have talents, and once you have come to the realization of that, you will begin to move differently in life. You will begin to move at a different pace in a different way. And so I'm excited about your future. I'm excited about what's to come. All right. Let us go ahead and get in a nice, comfortable position so that we can quiet our minds, our hearts. I want you to go ahead and take a deep breath and inhale and exhale. Once again, go ahead and inhale and exhale. And once again, go ahead and inhale and exhale. I turn my awareness to the infinite presence, the divine intelligence that governs all life, with purpose, clarity, and perfect order. This presence is not outside of me, it is within me, whispering as intuition, pushing as a desire, and guiding me through an inner compass that always points towards my highest good. I affirm now that I am the designer of my destiny. I am not at the mercy of circumstance, tradition, or external influence. I am wondering blindly. I am not wondering blindly. I am creating consciously. I have been gifted with the power to choose, to envision, to align, and to act. The blueprint of my future is guided by my soul. I declare that I design the roadmap of my life. I do so in full submission of my inner compass, the divine guide that now and will forever never mislead me, never doubt, or never sleeps. I listen within. I trust the still small voice. I allow it to override the noise of the world and the pressure of options. I affirm that every step I take when guided by the divine inner knowing is blessed with clarity, courage, and confirmation. My path unfolds in grace, detours become revelations, delays become redirections. Every part of my journey is infused with purpose because it is crafted from within. I release this word into perfect law, knowing that it is already done. My life is a living map of divine design, and I trust my inner compass to lead me all the way home. And so it is, and so it is. I want to thank all of you for tuning in to the Temple of Enlightenment Center, Temple of Enlightenment International Spiritual Center. Listen, if you haven't done so, in the description, there's 2 links. There's 2 downloads. You can go ahead and grab that. Will definitely help you with this series, help you navigate and get some real good understanding and allow you to apply these things that we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks. We talked about what is a map and the significance of the map. And last week we talked about the significance of the compass. And today I want to talk about what do you do with the map and the compass together? How do you merge them together and how do they work? We're going to talk today from designing destiny, crafting a roadmap that submits to your inner compass. Yes, you designed. You have the ability to design your destiny. And so I don't want you to ever think that the way life is the way life is. No, life gives to the giver and takes from the taker. Also, what you have to begin to understand is that you can redirect, you can restructure, you can restore, revive your life by creating a new story, by creating a new aspect of your life map. And so, we talked about this earlier about how many of you really have a life map? How many of you really know where it is in life that you want to go? You know why? Because many people listening to me right now, you guys will tell me, hey, Issachar, if I had to ask you, do you know where you're going in life? Where you're going? A lot of you would say, I really haven't thought about it. I really haven't mapped it out. A lot of you can tell me where you don't want to go. A lot of people can tell me what they don't want in life, but not too many people can really tell me what they want. And let me tell you why. Most of us want what we see other people have. We've never taken the time to really do an in-depth, just really go within and really tap into us and really sit down and really look at this and say, what am I doing with my life? What direction am I moving in? Which direction am I going in? Some of us are settling in life, and I don't believe that you should settle in life. I don't believe that. I believe that life is always moving. Life is always thriving, evolving. We are always evolving. We should be much more wiser in the 2025 than we were in 2024. So we're always evolving. We always are moving and elevating. And if, in fact, that's true, listen to this, ladies and gentlemen. If, in fact, that's true, if it's true, then I have to look at this. I have to say to myself, I got to start making some decisions. I got to really sit down and really scope out my life because I don't want to settle. I don't want to just live just to go to work, come home and pay bills. I don't want to live just to go to work, come home and pay bills. And I believe life is supposed to be full of experiences. Life is supposed to be enjoyable. I feel like there's a lot of things that I want to experience in life. There's a lot of things that I want to see and experience and touch and hold and feel and say, I've been there, I've done that. I don't want to look back on my life and be like, I coulda, woulda, shoulda. You understand? So with that being said, how many of us are really sitting down and saying, especially those of you who are listening who are some of our elders, who are some of our older listeners who may be in their 60s, 70s, and even their 80s, right? They may be looking at saying, well, you know what? I done lived my good life and I done did all the stuff I ever wanted to do, but I don't believe that. I believe life is still available. And as long as life is available, as long as you have breath in your lungs and you're able to have the correct functioning and of your activities, of your limbs and your mind, I believe that you should enjoy life to the fullest. I believe that you should be able to enjoy your life like never before. And I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited about the opportunities that we have in front of us. And so it comes to a point where you have to say, if nothing changes, nothing changes. And so if you go back on our channel, I did a talk I did a talk a while ago that says if you don't change, you choose, right? And so that means that whatever's going on in your life, if you don't change it, that means you're choosing to live and to act and to experience what you're experiencing. If you don't change what you're experiencing in life, that means you chose. So I don't want to keep experiencing what I'm experiencing now, so I'm going to change some things. I want to change my financial perspective. I want to change my health perspective. I want to change what my exterior activities. I want to change some things because if I don't change, I'm choosing. I'm choosing to be in the position that I am. I'm choosing to be where I am in life, and I don't want to do that. So I got to make some changes. Those of you who are married, you have to sit down with your partner and say, hey, listen, I listened to this guy named Issachar, and he's saying some really good stuff that's making me think. And I want to take our marriage to another level. I feel like we are very complacent. I feel like we're very settled. We're very just going through the motions. But I believe that we could have an enjoyable and we could take this relationship to another level where we can start doing things. But if I don't change, that means I'm choosing. I'm choosing to still stay where we are and stay in this marriage and stay in this situation that I'm in. I'm choosing to stay there, and I don't want to stay in this position. And so I believe for our marriage, we need to create a map. We need to create a map, and we need to synchronize our compasses to become one, so that we can now move in the direction that we're moving in. Where are we going? Where are we going in life? What are we going to be able to make happen and to do? We got to be able to make some changes. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited about it. I think that when you move into this great place that I'm talking about, life will begin to move differently. I believe that everybody listening to the sound of my voice, we deal with everyday hustle and bustle of life. Many of us working 9 to 5s. Many of us have children. We have spouses. So it's almost like I go to work, I come home, I do homework, I cook dinner, I feed the family. By the time that's over, it's time to go to bed. I'm tired, I'm exhausted. And then it's time for me to get ready to go up to do the same thing the next day. But I want you to remember something, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't change, you choose. And some of us are just going through the motions so much that we're on that hamster wheel and we don't know how to get off. But I want to show you, I want to give you something here that might be very beneficial to you, that I believe will be able to allow you to change the trajectory of your life. I believe that these lectures will get you to a place where you can sit down and say, you know what, I need to map out my life. I need to really, and understand, when you map out your life, there's going to be changes. So you're not right. What you're putting down is not written in stone, but you may want to say, hey, by December, I want to have these things accomplished. I want to have this done. By March of 2026, I need to have this done. By December of 2026, I want to have this done. I want to be able to have this. I want to have this. You need to start putting things in perspective, because it gives you momentum. It gives you something to work towards. It gives you something to keep going. And so this is how the chosen live, with vision-led steps and alignment-fueled momentum. Your soul already knows the way. The question is, will your feet listen? You got to think about this, what I just said. Your soul already knows the way. The question really is, will your feet listen? As I said before, ladies and gentlemen, when you listen to my lectures, when you read books, when you watch YouTube videos, when you study all of this stuff and you begin to get this enlightenment, I want you to know that you're not getting anything new. There's nothing new under the sun. Everything you need is already within you. So what we're doing is bringing it back to remembrance. That's all we're doing. We're bringing back to remembrance everything that you are doing. Everything that you have inside of you, the power, the awareness, we're just bringing it back into remembrance. When you begin to understand the difference between the map and the compass, the map is your strategy. Your compass is your spiritual alignment. The map is a strategy. It's okay. I'm going to point A to point B to point C to point D. The map will give you the strategy of how to get there. But now your compass will give you that spiritual alignment. Why? Because your compass is inner. Your compass is within. So you are making sure that there's an alignment with the compass and your map. So that I get an understanding of tapping in. One of the things we always do here at the Temple of Enlightenment Center is we always push you to go within. That's where the magic is. That's where the secret sauce is. Going within. When you learn how to go within, if you fail to go within, you must learn to live without. Everything is within you. Everything. So when you begin to go through that, you begin to understand those things. The inner compass, I call it your divine GPS, your spirit-led navigational center. And if you operate with it, listen to me, and I'm telling you no lie, it will never lead you astray. It will have you in the right place at the right time to meet the right people in the right circumstances. I'm telling you, it is an unbelievable GPS. It's what you're going to use to get where you need to get in life. But you have to first know where you're going. You have to first know who you are. And that's why it's important, ladies and gentlemen, to have a direction, to have a sense of direction. Some of you who are single, who are looking for love, who are looking for a companion, you have a destiny, you have a purpose. Don't be afraid to move into your purpose and destiny, because you will get the desires of your heart. If you desire a mate, if you desire a spouse, on your journey you will meet, you will run into, you will, because you're moving in alignment. You're moving with an alignment with your purpose, but you got to start moving. You got to stop implementing these things and putting them into perspective. You got to start putting them into perspective. Direction is not determined by distance. It's determined by divinity. I'll say that again. Direction is not determined by distance. It's determined by destiny. How many of you want to go the distance? How many of you want to do that? I believe that we can, and I believe that we will. It's amazing to me um, how many of us can be so further on in life if we just implement it and begin to take the steps. A lot of us listen to these things and we say, oh man, this sounds amazing. It gets us to a place where we feel like, well, we feel like we can't, well, we feel like life is lifing. Life is lifing. I want everybody to take a look at their life and see where do you want your life to be. Now, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen. The biggest problem that I have, or that we're going to have in this, or the biggest issue that will take place, is you looking at other people and what they're doing or what they have from an outside perspective. When I'm so busy worried about everybody else and what they're doing and what they have, that I'm not looking at what I'm doing. I'm not concerned about what I have. I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned about uh, what's going on with me. And I have to look at that from that perspective because, hey, wait a minute. You mean to tell me that I want to live my life and go to the fullest? I want to be successful. I want to be great. I want to have all the desires of my heart met. I believe that you can be in a relationship and be successful. I believe that you can be in a relationship and find happiness. I believe that you can live a life full of happiness and love and peace. I believe that you can do it. I believe that the only person that can stop you is you. I've always believed that. And so it brings me to a great level of of gratitude when I think about my life and I think about the things that I want to do in my life and the things that I want to do. I would love to. My goal is, all, of course, to see the enlightenment center grow and to be help millions and hundreds of thousands of people to come into enlightenment, come into a place where they take these teachings and begin to apply them and begin to transform their lives and begin to move into a place of greatness, begin to become a better version of themselves, become better fathers, better mothers, better parents, better husbands, better wives, right? And begin to serve humanity with their gifts and talents. One of the things that I love to do is, I love to, in your meditation, in your quiet place, you need to be able to talk to yourself. You need to be able to talk out loud and say, I trust my inner compass, even when the path is unclear. Even when the path is unclear. Because listen, I keep telling you, your inner compass is a GPS. Some of you, when you get tapped into it, you're going to be going places and you're looking at the map. So, for instance, some of you go to work. You have your special way of how you go to work. You have a special way how you go to pick up your kids. You have a special way how you do everything. But sometimes you can be driving and you get that small voice that says, turn right, turn left, make a U-turn, go this way. And you're like, why am I going this way? I don't know why. I never really go this way, but something is telling me to go this way. And you're listening to that small voice. Guess what? It gets you to where you got to go on time. You missed a big accident. There was a big rally downtown. There was all kind of stuff going on that you didn't know about. There was a flood. There was all this stuff, but because you listened to your inner compass, it got you where you needed to be. I was born with divine direction encoded in my being. Yes, encoded in my being. I have that direction of where am I going in life. Every decision I make is in alignment with my soul, and it leads to fulfillment. I want to be in alignment. I don't want to be in any kind of disalignment, any kind of disillusion, any kind of discontent, or any kind of discord. I want to be in alignment, because in alignment means that I'm in alignment with purpose. I'm in alignment with my destiny. Um, when you come into an alignment with who you are, ladies and gentlemen, life will begin to look different to you. And I want to say this to you, ladies and gentlemen. Just because your map is detailed doesn't mean it's divine. And what that means is that a lot of times we can sit down and we can use our maps. We're in AI now, so we can go to ChatGPT and we can get, hey, ChatGPT, give me my 6 or 5 month plan for the rest of this year. These are the things that I want to do, and set it up, and it can look pretty and nice, and we can put it on special paper and hang it up. We can do all of that. But just because it's detailed doesn't mean that it's divine. External plans always fail when they lack spiritual submission. You got to realize everything starts from within, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to move from within out. So within, so without. There's always a great danger when you begin to move and operate out of logic without intuition. And it's sort of like well planned but misaligned decisions. Because we can plan something very well, but even in our planning, we always have to make sure that we are aligned. And that alignment can change a lot. That alignment can change your relationships. It can change your job, your career. It can change your family, your friends. It changes everything because it changes you. See, when you change, everything outside of you change. And you know what? I was thinking about something too the other day, because in this last, I guess, year and a half, or not really, it hasn't been a year. I would say in this last maybe 7 to 8 months, maybe 9 months, in these last 9 months, um, I'm really kind of catapulted into a different level. You know how I can tell? Because a lot of people who are in my lives are no longer in my life anymore. A lot of situations and circumstances that were connected to me have been removed. And so we look at those things. We look at those things and say, what's going on with me? What happened? Sometimes when you change within, the things outside of you will begin to change. People will begin to fade away out of your life. They will move to a different perspective, a different plateau. You have to learn how to distinguish between your ego, make sure that you're not driven by fear, make sure that you're not driven by status or comparison, and that you set goals rooted in peace, purpose, and expansion. You can't move out of fear. You can't move out of wanting to be seen. You got to move strategically. Strategy is everything, ladies and gentlemen. Strategy. Somebody can be sitting here and saying, you know what, I can do the same thing they can do. I don't understand what makes them better than me. They're not better than you. They're using strategy. You got to use strategy. The ego crashes. The ego creates plans to feel in control. The spirit submits to purpose to be free. Let me say that again, ladies and gentlemen. Your ego will create plans to feel in control. I need to be in control. I need to make sure I have control over my life. I need to make sure that I'm the one in control of everything in my life and I'm operating. But your spirit submits to your purpose in order to be free. I really want to do a lecture on control, because a lot of times when people think they're in control, they're not. And I have to show you the 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 mystery of control. My spirit submits to my purpose in life. My purpose, therefore, allows me to be free. How many people are listening to me want to be free? How many people want to be able to walk in their purpose and be happy, waking up in life, waking up every day to be happy, to be joyful, not to be reluctant or like waking up like, I really don't want to go to work. I really don't like this job. I really don't like the people on my job, but I got to go to work because I got bills I got to pay. I got a family I got to take care of. Remember, what you don't change, you choose. So, well, Issachar, how do I change it? You change it by going within. You change it by listening to these lectures. You change it by downloading the downloads that I made available to you guys. You start working with this every day, because I'm not telling anybody to just walk in there and just cold turkey just quit their job. No. What I'm saying to you is, as you begin to work on the inner you, alignment with that inner compass, the inner compass, and you start working with it, what happens is events and situations and circumstances will start happening that will allow you to start making those necessary changes. Why? You don't choose outwardly, you choose inwardly. Remember, if you don't change, you choose. So if you don't change outwardly, you change inwardly. You make a conscious decision, I'm going to change my life. I'm gonna prove Issachar wrong. I'm gonna prove him that all the stuff he's telling and all the stuff he's teaching is a bunch of BS. And I'm gonna prove to him that it doesn't work. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna sit down and I'm going to go in, create a map to change my life. I'm going to make a conscious decision that I want to change my life. I'm going to start implementing all this stuff that he's telling us to do, just so I can prove to him that it doesn't work and it's a bunch of BS. And then when you do that, I'll be waiting for you to prove to me that these techniques and that these strategies and that these teachings and that these things don't work. Because unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, they do. You got to learn how to release the need to control every step in your journey. Remember, your purpose does not need permission. It only needs alignment. You are not mapping just for your future. You are blueprinting your becoming. Everybody is walking in their becoming. Listen, you never get out of life what you want. You only get out of life what you become. Who are you? What are you becoming? What are you becoming? What are you becoming? Learn how to reverse engineer your destiny by starting from your vision rather than from the limitations of logic. Where do you see yourself at in the next year, in the next 2 years? Ladies and gentlemen, you got to be able to, you got to have, and listen, when I say this, I to some of you, because we've talked, I know this is very difficult when I say this because some of you, you're just so enriched and enthralled in life that you really can't see where you would be. You see yourself still on the same job, still working, still doing what you're doing. But I want to say this to you. In the next year, the next 2 years, where do you see yourself? Where do you want to be? Where do you want to be in the next 2 years? Where do you want to be? We got to be able to sit down and look at this thing, ladies and gentlemen. Where do you want to be? Because you're operating and you're becoming. Life doesn't give you what you want. Life only gives you what you become. And ladies and gentlemen, what are you? What are you? When you build your map, you're using the 4 pillars. You're using vision, which gives you divine insight. You're using vibration, your energetic alignment. You're using your value, what grounds and governs your path. And you're using your voice, your soul's authentic expression. So these are the 4 things that you're going to use to incorporate in that map. You're going to design your success map that honors both your divine inspiration and your practical structure. Once again, you're going to design your success map, your life map that honors both your divine inspiration and your practical structure. Yes, my divine inspiration, what inspires me? What makes me keep going? What makes me get up? What gives me the confidence, the fire? What gives me the courage to go after living a life that I want to live? What gives me the courage? What gives me the courage to move and to grow and to elevate and to go to a whole nother level? What gives me that courage? The thing that gives me that courage is that divine inspiration. And what happens is, by me operating like that, it's also setting me up for the practical structure of my life. I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we all are that. We all are spiritual beings having a human experience. But the magic is being a spiritual being. And they took your spirit and put it in this body. So every time you want to make things happen in life, you got to go back into tapping into and connecting with your spiritual being aspect of yourself. And as you do that, then you'll see things happening on the outside. As within, so without. Sometimes we can be so much earthly good that we're not heavenly minded. We're not spiritually minded, right? So we always want to find a balance. But remember, what you don't change, you choose. The only way you can change is by going within. I was doing a consultation with a woman, and she was in a relationship with somebody, and the person kept apologizing for doing things to her, and she was very upset, and she was like, I accepted the apology, and this person just kept doing it. And I told her, an apology is not words. An apology is changed behavior. And the only way that you can change your behavior is by changing your inner thoughts, your inner concepts, your inner beliefs. So that's why the apology has to be changed behavior. Because that means that if you're really truly sorry for what you did and what you have done, then you're making a mental awareness to retract, to redevelop, to restore, to revive, and redirect your mental capacities to say, I have to now change my behavior regarding this issue and this circumstance. And the same thing goes with us. if we're going to make a change in life, we got to do it from within. I would even tell some of you to do what I call a vision vessel. You construct a container that holds, anchors, and amplifies your soul's vision. It could be any kind of artifacts, pictures, words, books, anything that amplifies your soul's vision, and put it in this container and call it the vision vessel. I believe that it will be very successful for you and really work to really get some things going for you. Your destiny isn't ahead of you, it's already inside of you, waiting for instructions. Hear me good, ladies and gentlemen. Your destiny isn't ahead of you, it's already inside of you, waiting for your instructions. They teach us about destiny. It's like, oh, your destiny you have to go and get your destiny, and destiny is waiting for you, and all of that. No, 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 ladies and gentlemen, destiny is not waiting for me. It's not ahead of me. It's already in you. It's waiting for your instructions. Well, Issachar, I wouldn't even know what to tell my destiny. What do I tell it? What do I tell my destiny? I didn't even know until you just said it that destiny was in me. I was still looking for it. Now that you're telling me it's in me, how do I give it instructions? By following the steps that we're giving you here. To go within, to make sure you're in alignment with your compass, your inner compass, to make sure that you know what your gifts and your talents are, to know what your purpose is in life. I've had the link in the description for you guys to get a consultation where we can sit down and really look at your life's purpose, look at what's happening in your life, look at what's going on, look at what are the ramifications of what you're doing. You know why, ladies and gentlemen? For every action, there's going to be a reaction in your life. And so I want to make sure that I'm making the right action so that I can get the right reaction. So I want to make sure that I'm getting that. And if that in fact is true, then I'll be able to tell my destiny what I need to do and give it the instructions that I need to give it to. My vision is sacred and I'm worthy of its manifestation. I create maps that serve my higher self. You know, one of the things about sometimes in life, we want to get things done in a quick capacity. We want everything fast. We're moving into the time of AI. We're moving in a time of where things are happening very quickly. I want to say this. Even in the heavens, the planet Uranus has entered into Gemini. And so Gemini is the sign of communication. And it's the sign that deals with communication. It deals with any kind of communication that we have. And communication is not how well you speak, ladies and gentlemen. Communication is how well you're understood. So as we move into these new levels of communication and we're dealing with AI, which gives us a speed, keep in mind, momentum is not speed. It's sustained alignment in motion. So we're not looking for speed, ladies and gentlemen. We want momentum. Momentum is not speed. Momentum is a sustained alignment in motion. Being able to maintain your momentum when you are living life and you feel unclear or overwhelmed, you know, because when you are unclear or overwhelmed by a situation or a circumstance, you got to follow that inner compass. You got to follow it. I just believe that it will lead you to the promised land, ladies and gentlemen. Debunk the myth of motivation and tap into the sustaining power of rhythm. Everything in life has a rhythm, ladies and gentlemen. You have your own rhythm. Sometimes we are discombobulated in life because a lot of times we have been operating in other people's rhythm where we never really got acclimated to our own rhythm. But life is about rhythm. You have your own rhythm. Consistency is the bridge between prophecy and manifestation. Ladies and gentlemen, hear me good. Consistency is the bridge between prophecy and manifestation, which means that yes, you can speak it, you can write it, you can hang it on the wall, but you got to be consistent with it. You got to be consistent with it, and your consistency will bring it from the prophetic word into the full manifestation of that. Every step I take honors the direction of my inner compass. Now, some of you may say, you know, when we're on this journey, what about the roadblocks? What about when things don't go the way that we want it to go? And what happens if there's detours? You know, when you're going somewhere, when you're traveling, uh, and the roads are closed off, and they instead of a 4-lane highway, it's now a 1 lane or it's a 2 lane. But what do you do in life when there's a detour, when there's a roadblock? A divine detour is never a denial. It's a directional upgrade. Let me say that again. A divine detour is never a denial. It's a directional upgrade. Learn to recognize when spirit is redirecting you, even when it feels like rejection. That's why sometimes when a door is closed, sometimes when it says no, that's what's supposed to happen. Now, I've been in a situation recently where a door was closed on me, and I had to really tap into my inner compass and really say, do I try to open this door back up again, or do I just let it stay closed? Because I believe when one door closes, another door opens. So I had to make that inner compass adjustment to not try to open that door or to try uh, uh, to entertain what no longer was accessible to me anymore, and move into a position in a circumstance now where I'm moving into a place now where I'm in alignment with what I'm doing. You got to learn how to recalibrate without fear when plans unexpectedly shift. When things happen outside of your control, you got to learn how to recalibrate. You got to learn how to recalibrate. And in that recalibration, you'll be able to you'll be able to deal with that. You'll be able to embrace the perceived failure as divine feedback guiding you to something greater. I don't believe in a loss. I believe it's a lesson. So when somebody says, I think I failed. I think, it didn't work out. I don't take it as a loss. It's a lesson. The detour is often the sacred door. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, everything happens for a reason. Everything. I believe that there's a reason why you were going to go right, and then all of a sudden the right angle was closed and blocked, and now you got to go left. There's always a reason for everything. There's no accidents. There's no mistakes in life. Everything happens for a reason. And if that in fact is true, then it's true. Um, like I said before, man, life gives to the giver and takes from the taker. Every obstacle I face is a disguised opportunity for growth. And it is, ladies and gentlemen. Trust me. I receive all redirections with wisdom and grace. I am always on the right path when I am listening to spirit. Yes, you got to listen to spirit. Chosen ones don't just follow maps, they become maps for others. That's a fact, ladies and gentlemen. Chosen ones don't just follow maps, they become maps for others. Maps for their family, maps for their parents, maps for their children, maps for their spouses, maybe maps for their siblings. Understand the responsibility of spiritual alignment in a world that often follows popularity over purpose. Yes, purpose over popularity. It's not the most thought out thing because everybody wants popularity, everybody wants to be seen, but nobody thinks about purpose. Realize your success is not just personal, it's prophetic. You can speak it into existence, ladies and gentlemen. The things that you want to see, the things that you want to have, the things that you want to do. Activate your leadership through your daily alignment and commitment to purpose. You were not born to blend in. You were born to blaze a trail. Ladies and gentlemen, you're not born to blend in. Remember, what you don't change, you choose. So you're not born to blend in. You were born to be a trailblazer. I am a divine example of vision and motion. My alignment is my leadership. I walk with authority because I walk in purpose. Now, I mentioned the word recalibration, recalibrate. So I want to take a look at that real quick. Destiny is destiny isn't a destination. It's a daily decision. When you talk about recalibration, you're creating a space for you to receive those spiritual downloads, those ideas, those intuitive nudges that you receive. See, when we talk about you tapping into your inner compass, you got to be able to sit still and kind of meditate. That's why we do the spiritual mind treatment in the beginning. We sit down in the quiet position, a quiet place. You need to do that every day because you need to be able to tap into your 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 your, your source. You be able to tap into it and begin to realign yourself with your life map. Designing destiny isn't about doing more. It's about being more of who you truly are. Listen to what I said. Designing your destiny isn't about doing more. So I want you to understand this, ladies and gentlemen. The key to everything we teach here is about going within. Your designing destiny isn't about you doing more. It's not about making a list of all I need to do. No, it's about you being more of who you already are. Life is not about what you get, it's about what you become. So once you realize who you are, your destiny and you designing it is not based on how much you do. It's about you working on being more of who you are. So once I realize who I am, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to become more of that. Once I become more of that, it takes me to a whole nother level, ladies and gentlemen. I am the architect of my becoming. Every day I align, design, and rise. My destiny is unfolding with power, purpose, and peace. I'm moving into into greatness. I'm moving into a level of great opportunities. My destiny. My destiny is unfolding with power, purpose, and peace. It's unfolding. And when you begin to understand that and you look into that and you begin to work that, your your purpose, your destiny is based on who you're becoming. I need to become more of who I am. How many of us are not really operating in who we are? We're just going through the motions in life. You know, and I kind of say this, many of you who are in long-term relationships, you see relationships where people have been together for 30, 40 years, and they're just going through the motions. The person has already cut ties. They have already quit. They have already basically separated themselves from that person, and it's just going through the motions. There's no inner connection. There is no mental connection. It's like it's all it's just we going through the motions. You don't want to go through life like that. You want to go through life on purpose. You want to be going through life on happiness, on purpose. You want to be able to go in life by becoming the best version of yourself, by getting fulfillment in what you're doing, by operating in your purpose and meeting people and operating in who you are. That's why you have to learn who you are, ladies and gentlemen. I need to learn who I am. I need to learn who I am. Why? Why do I need to learn who I am? Because I need to become a more of who I am. Once I come into an awareness of who I am, I need to now work on being more of that. I don't need to worry about being busy and keeping myself busy. I just need to focus on becoming more of who I am. Because the more I become the more of who I am, the more I get out of life. I don't get out of life by what I want. I only get out of life by what I become. So I have to become more of who I am. And how do you do that, Issachar? You do that by continuing to go within, continuing to work on me understanding my inner compass, me understanding by getting into alignment with who I am, by getting into alignment, me by tapping into allowing my inner compass to guide me and lead me to go to the right place. That's why you have to really put in position to listen. That will give you the downloads, that will give you the ideas, that will give you the nudges. So you know where you're going in life, or you know where you need to move to. But once you come into a level of purpose of who you are, you now have to learn how to become more of who you are. And when you learn how to become more of who you are, you will get more out of life. To be or not to be, that is the question. That's what Shakespeare said. But in the word human being is the word be, which means you only get out of life what you become. I got to be more of who I am. You too, ladies and gentlemen. You got to be more of who you are. Once you come into an alignment of who I am, Rebecca says, I'm going to come into a level of becoming more of who I am. And the more she understands who she is and she focuses her attention to becoming more of who she is, the more she becomes, the more life begins to give her. The more life begins to adapt to her. The more life gets to cover her. The more life gets to grip to her. The more life gets to become and listen to her. And she begins to tell life how to live, not life telling her how to live. Why? Because she became more of who she was. And ladies and gentlemen, you have that same opportunity. You have that same power to become a more who you want to be in your relationships. Everything is with you, ladies and gentlemen. It's not with anybody else. It's always going to be with you. And once you change you, the other person will begin to change. And so when you get to understand that and you get to deal with that on that level, you realize that, yes, I'm evolving, I'm changing, I'm not the same person that I used to be, I'm not what everybody thinks I should be, and so I'm changing, I'm evolving, I'm moving to this and to that, but I believe that my path is where it needs to go. You know, sometimes you look at life and you can see that people are just in a position in a place where things need to be different. There needs to be a difference in how you operate, how you move. Most of the time, when I meet with people, the first thing I ask them is, "Do you have a life map?" And they look at me like, "What is that?" And I say, "Oh, okay, you don't have a life map. Do you have a vision board?" And they say, "No, I don't. I don't do the vision board thing." And so I say to them, "Well, yeah, I want to know, um, you know, what's happening with your life map. We need to get your life map together because we need to get you in a place where you start experiencing life like you want to experience it, that you start operating in purpose, that you start operating at your highest level, that, you know, many people who live outside are miserable inside. We see these people on TV, the actors, the entertainers, these people who we're in love with, who we admire, and we're like, oh my God, I just love this person, and they're the wonderful person in the world. But you don't know, they live so much outside that they haven't learned how to get that alignment within. And so it causes a lot of issues. It causes a lot of discomfort. It causes a lot of mental anguish, a lot of anxiety. It causes all of those things because they haven't learned how to use their life map and their compass. So I say that to say this, ladies and gentlemen, now is the time for you to take advantage of the opportunity that you have to really reconstruct and design your destiny. I believe that there's about 5 people that each of you know. Hit the share button, copy the link, send it to them, let them listen to this message because I believe that they will get something out of today's message, out of today's teaching, that I believe that will catapult them to a whole new level in life and a whole new plateau. I want to thank all of you for tuning in. Um, Once again, make sure that you go in and click on and get those downloads that deals with the mapping and the compass that will maybe help you to design your destiny. And also, if you're saying, I don't know what my purpose is, I don't know what my destiny is, I'm stuck in life. I'm stuck. I need some direction. I need help. I need somebody I can talk to that can guide me and help me. If that's you, go ahead and click the consultation button link and schedule a consultation. Let's sit down and talk about it. Let's see how we can get you out of where you are into where you need to be. Let's see how we can fathom and move things into a different perspective, because I believe that there is no greater time than the present. And if that in fact is true, then I believe that that's where we need to be. And so I want to thank all of you for your consistency, for your support. Remember, we're here every week, same place, same time. I also want to let everybody know that you can, there's 4 ways that you can donate to our organization, to our ministry. If you want to sow a seed, if you want to donate, the first way is going to be Cash App, $TOESC. That's $TOESC. Then we have 2 ways you can give, either PayPal or it's going to either be PayPal or it's going to be Zelle. And the PayPal and the Zelle are going to be our email, which is info, INFO, at TOESC.org. Once again, that's INFO at TOESC.org. And then we have our Venmo. Those of you who want to use Venmo, you can go ahead and use Venmo. It's going to be Issachar Bey at gmail.com. That's ISSACHARBEY at gmail.com. Also, I want to let you guys know that we also have our mailing address. If you want to mail us something, if you want to email us, our email address is there, info at TOESC.org. If you want to email us, once again, thank you so much for all of your support, your consistency. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe. And also, if this message or any of our teachings have been any of a blessing to you, please go ahead and hit that share button, copy the link, email it, text it to your friends, and let them know that the Enlightenment Center is here and that Issachar Bey is changing lives and transforming people's destiny and purpose every day. So we want to thank all of you for your consistent love and consistent gratitude and all of the love that you've shown us and that you send our way. We appreciate it. We love you. We honor you. We want to thank you. Anybody who does make a donation to our ministry, I just want to say that we believe in standing in connection with you, that whatever you put your hands to do, whatever it is that you set out to do, it will be made manifest and that it will be successful. And that everything that you sow into this ministry will be 100-fold return. We speak it into existence, and so it is. And so we want to thank all of you. I like to say this one thing. Your destiny is not a matter of chance, but it's a matter of choice. I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.